Everybody knew. He told everyone. And I mean, everyone. He told my mother and his own mother. He even told the police. His work colleagues, his friends at the bar, our neighbors, the postman, the painters who were redecorating the kitchen. Everybody knew. Even the guys at the petrol station and the kids at the arcade. He will even tell the customers at the butcher shop that sooner or later, he was going to kill me. So, no one was really surprised when he actually did it. They all knew it. They all knew it was coming. Yet the newspaper said that it was an unexpected fit of madness. Unexpected. Are you kidding me? When he will be trumpeting to everybody around us for years and years and years? No. My death was a death foretold, announced loud and clear, like the motherhood to the Virgin Mary, as plain as the light of the day. Not so bad in a country where no one ever seems to know anything. They say that Italy is a country of mysteries, because all the kind of the cases that never get solved, like the plane crash at Utica or the Bologna train station bombing. Does anybody know something about these cases? Still not a clue. Did anyone ever figure out who was responsible? No. But when I die, everybody knew right away it was my husband who killed me. How couldn't? When he will basically be promising to the world that he will do it. And then he kept his promise. That's something, at least. But there is something that still bothers me. If everybody knew, why did I let him do it? And I? What did I?
I've always had a thing for the strong, silent type. The kind of man who doesn't need to try too hard, if you know what I mean. I need to feel protected, looked after, claimed. That's what sweeps me off my feet. I don't know about you, but I kind of like being slapped around. A bit of whipping with his belt now and then before having sex. Stuff like that. It turns me on to play the victim, to pretend I'm his geisha, his little slave. My shrink told me there is nothing wrong with it. It's just projecting dreams, desires. Until he got too into it and went too far. How could I not have realized it? To think that I'll even like that slogan with a campaign on violence against women. Violence has too many faces. Learn to recognize them. But how can you when it's your own lover's face? Another one. Violence hurts. Mistaking it for love hurts even more. Now I know, but at the time it wasn't so clear. There really should be evening classes, special tutoring to train us not to fall into these traps. We've been taught to be accommodating for so long. Now what about teaching us to defend ourselves, to strike back? A violent partner won't take you through life. He'll take you to the hospital, which he did a few times. Sweetly, he took me there in his own car, did it because he cared, in a way all of his own. But he also made sure I wouldn't say the wrong thing and get him in trouble. Not that I would have ever reported him. He was my man, My strong, invincible guy. In his arms, I felt finally safe and protected, even though he was exactly what I needed protecting from. There is only one way to change an abusive partner: dump them. They're right. I know they're right. But I was so afraid he would dump me for another woman. A younger, more pliant one. Someone even more submissive and accommodating than me. Boyfriends don't grow on trees, you know. Everyone around me is already taken, and I can't stand being alone. They're just little sex games, I told myself. And if he goes too far, I'll tell him to stop. But when I did, he would sulk, give me the silent treatment for days. So I gave in just to make him happy. But it sure didn't excite me anymore. An abusive partner doesn't deserve your love. He deserves to be reported. They're absolutely right. I tried to once, but the police commissioner wasn't in that day. He'd been arrested for shooting his wife with a service weapon. Come back tomorrow, they said. Things are kind of a mess today. Actually, my whole life has been a mess. It isn't easy to find your way out of the maze of life, except at work. There I can definitely hold my own. I'm a sales assistant at a posh lingerie store uptown where everyone who's anyone comes to shop. I sell S&M undergarments to high society wives. And let me tell you, after that however too many shades bestseller, the one that teaches you how to get yourself a real good spanking, our catalog became all the rage. Naughty lingerie to spice up stale marriages. It's delicate work. You have to make sure you don't sell the same item to both wife and mistress. You have to keep a mental file on every customer. But I've been an expert in the field for a long time now. Last night, he strangled me with a pair of panties from the latest collection. Pure silk, extra small, nylon lace inserts. 27 euros. Marvelous choice.
Houses tell us more about who we are than many complicated words. When I was little, my parents used to rent a portion of a semi-detached house close to the beach. On the veranda table, I remember a blue tarp with seahorses, shells, and little fishes. A sea of plastic that I liked so much. When I did my homework, I used to immerse myself in the colorful ocean, and I dreamed of my life as an adult. Happy and adventurous, but without storms. That's how I imagine it. The tablecloth was my idea of home and family, and when I finally grew up and set my nest with Piero, I immediately looked for my navy tablecloth, and I found it in a little market right close to my house. Home, sweet home. The drawing wasn't the same. There were fishes and shells, but also waves and cumbers disturbing the peace. But I took it anyway. I should have thought about it. Sometimes the small signs tell you about the future, but we can't see them. Or perhaps we do everything we can to not see them. Piero was so polite that I didn't even think he was hiding that storm inside. And of course, I couldn't imagine it would have fallen entirely on me. But there are so many things we cannot predict. Who could ever imagine this pandemic, for example? A threat so hidden and dangerous that it forced people to lock themselves inside the four walls of their apartment to escape the contagion. But how could I escape his fury? Stay home! Do as we do, please don't go out, people claimed on TV. But even before, I was not going out so much. Piero didn't want to. He was afraid that someone seeing the bruises would ask me something. I'm staying home, VIP people used to say while smiling from the videos on their mobile phones, and in the background you could see the big and beautiful houses with a table set. Bake bread and cakes with sourdough, but please stay indoors, I'm staying home. Home, sweet home. Nice slogan. But it wasn't the same for everyone. I didn't even have the dog to take out to be able to breathe a little. Piero was more nervous and any excuse to take it out on me. He used to beat me even before COVID, but now he felt almost authorized. As the end of the work come, and then rules and ceremonies no longer applied. And now, even if I found the courage, I couldn't go out to report him. Otherwise, they would arrest me. Or could I write on the self-certification, I'm going out because my husband is beating me up? The pandemic has been a godsend for women like you, so they will stop looking around. Piero said that, laughing. For him, it was almost a game. He had lost his job and also his mind. We were always alone, me and him. And I was at the mercy of his violence, like a wreck abandoned in a stormy sea. When I ended up on the ground from the beatings, I would take refuge under the kitchen table, hoping that my beautiful tablecloth could protect me from his fury. But I told you, it wasn't as magical as the one I had in my childhood. And he couldn't save me that night either. He kicked me and punched me so hard that my ears were ringing. They were ringing so much that I could no longer hear the Italian national anthem being sung in chorus by everyone on the balconies. But I didn't have the balcony or even the strength to sing. When he saw that I wasn't breathing anymore, he ran away to his mother's place. And I was taken away by the scientific police, wrapped in my navy tablecloth like a package. They said the stretchers had run out because of the pandemic. Everything will be fine, I hope, at least for you.
I disagree. There are millions of men who truly love women. They are many and they are wonderful. They are kind, and I'm not talking about gays. I'm talking about the guys who make you feel like a queen and a princess, who like you just the way you are and don't look for another inside you. They are traveling companions, friends, tender lovers, like Luigi from Varese, my beautiful love that my father didn't want. My father loved me in his own way, and so did my brother, but they had to slit my throat because I wouldn't listen to reason. I am Amina, the corpse bride. Luigi and I were getting married in secret, but someone tipped us off, and at dawn, they executed me. Then they buried me in the garden, under the pomegranate tree. My mother didn't want to look. I didn't deserve Luigi from Varese, a young Italian mechanic with his own workshop who had taught me all of Vasco's songs. We shouted them to the wind on his motorbike while we were dancing. You're clear as a dawn, you're fresh as the air. And right on clear dawn, they decided that they had to kill me. But I have always been a crazy rebel, and I resisted until the end. Luigi from Varese was not mine. I had already been promised to someone else. Another story was planned for me, written since I was little, that could not be erased. A story that came from far away, from the valley of Bamiyan, where my grandparents still live. The giant stone Buddhas are no longer there. They scared the Taliban, and they knocked them down forever. I was scary too, and I wasn't even a giant. I asked my mother that morning, "Mom, can I write another story for myself? I can make it up like when I do my own clothes, the sleeveless, colorful ones that I wear secretly. I would like a story with a different ending, where there is a motorcycle trip that Luigi wanted up to the North Cape to discover the white nights that are white just like Vasco's clear dawn. Instead, I only have the red of the pomegranate tree left, which blooms every spring and produces juicy fruit, rich in seeds, as red as my blood."
Choosing the right running shoes is serious business. Beware of those who say one brand is as good as another. They say there is no need to be picky, to just get moving. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just amateurs. I've always loved running. The perfect place? A park, early in the morning. The perfect park? Central Park. The very center of the world, with squirrels skirting all around. What more could you want? As for your running clothes, you can be as extravagant or as personalized as you like. One of my friends wears a brown fleece sweatsuit that makes her look like a grizzly bear. She says it helps her run faster. When it comes to shoes, though, she's just as choosy as me. Top of the line for us are K2s, the latest Casper model, with a revolutionary new system. That's how the ad puts it. Revolutionary new system. With shock absorbers inside the heel area that make you feel like you're running on air. They were brand new when I put them on that February morning. There was frost on the grass and thin layers of ice here and there on the path. But my purple Caspers had wings and took everything in stride. The wind blowing off the Hudson was freezing, but I was dressed for it. Microfiber leggings, thermal top, earmuffs over my earphones, and music warm enough to melt away any worries. If someone had asked, "What's freedom to you, Maggie Holmes?" I would have described that bone-chilling February morning. Sure, being 16 helps, but you need to make the effort. Get out there, really seize the moment, broaden your horizons. And yet, be sure not to miss even that little squirrel running after you from one sycamore maple to the next. A crazy race right off a Disney film, or a perfect day on Earth. I don't know what got into him, or maybe he'd been waiting me out all along, hiding behind the bushes between the trees. My squirrels ran off, but I wasn't quite as fast. Me? He hunted down, grabbed, threw to the ground, pinned my hands and feet, covered my mouth. Part of me was still running along the paths of the Upper West Side, trying to get to the fields where strawberries grow, even in winter. Strawberry fields forever. But despite my new shoes and the wings on my feet, I couldn't move. He was everywhere, on top of me, inside me. I tried to scream and kick at him with my K2 Caspers, but it was no use. And afterwards, he smashed my head in with a huge rock. I closed my eyes forever. Even in Central Park, even for a born and bred New Yorker, it's not easy for a girl to be free. What a pity. It was such a perfect morning.
It was all the motorcycle's fault. Yes, of course. It's because of that pile of red scrap metal that I find myself here. Not only that, but also disfigured by the fire. Luckily, where we are now, in this sort of female afterlife, even if we are wounded to death, the wounds disappear. It will be a reward for what we had to go through when we were alive. The fact is that we all come here back and smooth as a baby bottom. We women have some advantages, at least when we are dead. It would have been even better to have them before, though, but I was particularly unlucky then. If only my brother Hashard hadn't brought that shiny motorcycle home. He had bought it in the installments, just after he was hired as a second-level IT technician at the Jaipur Computer Center. It would have taken him almost 10 years to pay it off in full. And with the interest, it would have cost him almost as much as a house. But he refused to listen to reasons. Since he doesn't have any kind of expenses, he still eats at home. He drinks and sleeps at home with us, or rather with them, because a year ago, I found a husband. Well, not exactly me. My parents found a husband for me. We are 3 sisters, 3 females. And my parents found him that we cost such a big amount of money. Multiply the dowry by 3, and you will understand the desperation in my house. And now, with the GDP growing like a crazy, everyone has a fever of consumption here in India. And future in-laws and future husbands are no longer satisfied with a pile of fake jewelry or a few meters of sari to accept a daughter-in-law. Now, they want a rich dowry. They want to have it all. They all have become greedy. Now you have to add the radio, the television, and the fan. Better still if it's an electric air conditioner that will spit cold air and the sifting days before the monsoon. Unfortunately, on the evening of the agreement, the whole family of my friend came to our home and saw my brother's motorcycle. They didn't want to listen to reasons, and my parents, in order to get rid of one of the daughters and close the deal, decided to give him also the motorcycle. They never thought that upon hearing the news, my brother will bolt out of the house like lightning on his beloved speedster. A month after the wedding, the motorcycle still hadn't arrived, and the request became more and more urgent. My family-in-law tortured me every day. And when he will come back? When will he be bringing the motorcycle? It's our property. We will report him for thief. My father even tried to bring another one, also red, but it was an old Russian model that could badly be started with a run-up. His brother-in-law nearly beat him up. My husband was restless. His entire family treated me like an animal. I slept on the kitchen floor, and they kicked me when they passed by. I had betrayed their expectations. I was no longer worthy of anything. In my country, dowry is a very serious thing. Many men marry women just for that, and as well, to have a slave in their houses, of course. Just think about it. Every hour, an Indian bride is killed by her husband's family for not paying the agreed dowry. More than 8,000 murders of young women every year. But with the complacent justice system that we have, they all are filled just as a domestic accidents. Now, the newspapers not even talk about it. They don't make they don't make news about it anymore. It's the story that is well known. Strangely, these young wives are always found charred near to the kitchen stove. Blame of faulty stoves, 8,000 clumsy wives, who every year accidentally cover themselves in kerosene and catch a fire. Perhaps their distracted husbands accidentally throw a lit match right there. They just want to smoke a cigarette after dinner, and then, suddenly, it happened what happened. And they are ready for a new marriage agreement that hopefully could be more fruitful. Maybe this time they just won't put a motorcycle on the list. but also a new nice helmet and a leather jacket like the ones the actors wear in Bollywood movies. An old Indian saying says, "A death of a woman gives the husband the opportunity to acquire a second dowry. The death of a buffalo, on the other hand, it's an economic disaster for the entire family." In my next life, I hope to be reborn as a buffalo.
There must be some mistake. The certificate says date of death, June 3rd, 2009. The body shows evidence, signs of, etc., etc. Cause of death, 8 stab wounds, etc., etc. The deadly wound was inflicted in the area of, etc. No way. Tell the detectives this investigation is a fraud. I don't care what they say on TV. This is not how it happened. I should know, right? Time of death, 2:30 p.m. Absolutely not. I died way before that, 6 years and 1 month before, to be precise. Practically right after the wedding, during our honeymoon. We both look fantastic, and Capri was a dream come true. It was April 30th, 2003. I remember perfectly. 10:30 p.m. on the dot. I never miss a detail, and besides, right then, I had on my new watch, a Bulgari-style one, that could have fooled anyone. It was a wedding gift from Piero, and you know how it is when you're wearing something new. You just can't stop looking at it. Which is what I was doing just there and then, gazing at my beautiful, glittering dial. Not diamonds, of course, but I'll bet they were real Swarovski crystals. And they were not only around the frame, there were smaller ones on the hands too, shining like tiny little stars. I was gazing at them, my head in the clouds, when the first slap hit me right in the face. You better be careful. You belong to me now. Me and no one else. Got it? But there is no one else, my love. What are you talking about? I saw you looking at that doorman. And boom, there came another slap. You were thinking about it, weren't you? Maybe a little hanky-panky together while I'm asleep. I saw how you were looking at him. Darling, you've got it all wrong. I never even noticed that there was a doorman. A third slap, and something began trickling out of my nose. How humiliating, I thought. Here I am on my wedding night, with mucus running down my face. But it was blood. I could tell from the drop that fell on my Laura Biagiotti nightgown that my girlfriends gave me at my bridal shower. It came with a matching robe, and it had sparkly little beads all around the neckline. Or maybe they were sewn out crystals too. Everyone knows how much I love those. Do you understand? You are mine now. Of course I do, my love. That's why I married you. How can you get bloodstains out of white silk? Well, maybe not pure silk. There must have been some synthetic fibers to make the fabric shine so beautiful. Plus, it said, do not iron, right on the label, so... And now came the fourth slap. Or punch, I should say. And this one was so powerful, it sent me sprawling to the floor. I think I have not passed out for a few minutes. It was just so unexpected. When I came to, I didn't even try to move. It was hard enough just trying to catch my breath. Darling, believe me, I love you and only you forever. I'll never give you a reason to doubt me. If you want, it can be just the two of us together always. After all, why should I go out alone? You're right, it's no fun when you're not with me. I love you, darling. I can even quit my job if you want. It's just part-time anyway, for earning a little something. But like you're always saying, what would I do with my own money? If there's anything I need, I can always ask you, and I already have everything I want. And you're right. Well, what's the point of buying a new handbag? Who am I trying to look good for? I was way too vain before I met you. Now I understand how much you care about me, and I know you're helping me to become a better person, my love, but maybe you could just let me go to my mom's on Sundays. Maybe while you're watching the soccer game. Well, that's okay if you don't want me to. She can just come and visit us. Only occasionally, of course, though lately she's been feeling a little bit under the weather. She seems a bit worried. No, you're right. It should not concern me. I have my own family now, just you and me, and I'm all yours, completely yours. When he got back from the bar downstairs, I could smell whiskey on his breath. Or maybe it was Jägermeister. I couldn't be sure because my nose was so swollen. Though I would splash cold water on my face and I washed all the blood away. I cannot say it worked for the nightgown though. There was a dark stain right above my breasts. I rubbed it away, but there was nothing doing. It just would not go away. Blood and red wine, there's just not getting rid of them. Good thing I brought a spare nightgown. I'm the type who thinks a way ahead about things like that. You'll never catch me. I am prepared. I always have a spare of everything. Say you're mine and no one else is. Say it. When he came to bed, he caressed my hair and my bruises. And we made love. Or rather, he did. Because I was already dead. All the life drained out of me. That is why, when he actually killed me 6 years later, stabbing me with a bread knife, I was already long gone. Mine and no one else's. But there was nothing left of me to have. My true essence was no longer there. I had become his thing, some object he owned. And lifeless objects can't die. Oh, by the way, the blood stain, not even bleach could ever get it out.
It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a woman manager to get on board of directors. But finally, I did it. It was tough. Battles like that leave you scarred. They harden you. They can even make you mean. See? This be the wound lying on my forehead? It never used to be there. Well, everything has a price. Plus, there is buttocks, if you can afford it. A little touch-up, and you are almost as good as you were. Like so many women of my generation, I gave up children for a career. I don't regret my choice. I have wonderful friends. It's just not true that women must have kids to feel fulfilled. Don't believe the baby diapers advertisement. Plus, there are always men to keep you warm. I married one of my work colleagues. It was great, working side by side as partners through equals, but with a ton of emails to get through every night before going to bed. Same iPad, same working hours, same stress, same iPhone or BlackBerry. Some people prefer the BlackBerry and never understand why. Same business trips, same high-speed trains, same salaries. Well, as long as we earned the same money, everything was fine. Of course, it took me a while to catch up to him. Everyone knows that even with the same qualification, women are considered less authoritative. We must work 3 times as hard for the same result. Still, in the end, I made it. The problem is that then I started earning even more than him. I didn't do it on purpose. Actually, I felt embarrassed about it. I didn't even tell him right away. Can't explain why. Deep down, I guess I felt guilty. Almost if surpassing him economically was an affront to his masculinity. Yeah. I was afraid he could feel humiliated. Still, I told myself, time has changed. My father never allowed my mother to work, even though she went to college. It was a question of respectability, of decency. He didn't want people to think he wasn't man enough to support her. And she would have loved her job outside the house. But she would never have done anything to displease her husband. I did. I finally came out and I told him I'd been promoted, and I did it in style, treating him to a weekend in Paris at a 5-star hotel. That's when the problem started. Slowly, but thoroughly. A subtle poison turned out our relationship toxic. He didn't seem to find me as fun, as brilliant as he used to. Now an excuse was good for aiming a blow at my self-esteem, which me, being a woman, had never been that great to begin with. First in private, then in public, in front of friends or colleagues. He began to wound me again and again and again. He was constantly belittling me. There was some deep-seated resentment there. The sarcasm was biting, the criticism endless, merciless. No matter what I did, it was a constant unload. No holds barred, until one May night when we just gotten home from a conference on interest rates. Very interesting. He dealt me the final blow with a heavy cut glass ashtray thrown straight on my forehead. I was still alive. He could have saved me, but he just stood staring. I lay there, struggling to breathe, finally powerless and docile. He brought me down to size. He hadn't meant to take it that far, but he had no other way to explain his feeling of inadequacy. I had grown too fast for him. He couldn't just keep up, couldn't stand the comparison. He felt inferior. The only thing he had left to regain the upper hand was brute force. In that department, he was still superior to me. At least he won the final match.
It's me. Please listen to me. I've been knocking for hours and no one opens the door. I deserve it. I know there's no place for me in this paradise. I swear, I don't want to be forgiven. I know there will be no more peace for my soul, but I would at least like to say that I understand. It's too late, of course, but perhaps it could be useful to those who can still stop on the edge of the abyss. Because after that, it's over forever. Other men feel like strangers, never guilty for their fellow men, but in reality, we're all in it, believe me. What happened to me can happen to anyone. It is a road that leads you straight to perdition, and I have not stopped. Isa, my partner, knows it well. First, I heard her with words, sharp and cutting, increasingly cruel. I had fun humiliating her. I wanted to see how long she could resist without rebelling, and she let it happen. She tried to endure it for the love of her children, but the more she forgave, the further I went. Seeing her incredulous eyes when I slapped her, instead of stopping me, it ignited my appetite. They call it virility, or at least that's what they taught me, and I believed them. Then one evening, I saw my hand, and it looked like someone else's. Grabbed the kitchen knife, the sharp new one, the one used for roast beef on holidays, and started to hurt it. Yes, my own hand. Delicately at first, almost like a game, and then harder and harder. I couldn't stop, because I was like a drug addict, getting his dose. Violence is a drug. It is good to know that. And we should be stopped, helped, isolated. It's not a pious excuse. It's all my fault, I know. You start slowly. The first time is always a surprise. You slap, then punch, then you regret it. You apologize. You swear and perjure that it will never happen again. And she believes you. She shouldn't, but she does. Because you managed to leverage her most intimate feelings. You dug where there is a void, a need for love and affection. And you, like a coward, take advantage of it. We were beautiful at the seaside in the photos on Facebook. Who would have thought? Who could have known? But I knew, and I could stop. But the beast inside me just felt her tenderness and got excited. I wanted more. After you've tasted power, you want to raise the stakes and see how far you can go. How far you can crush the will of your prey and hold it in your grip, making it tremble. The eyes of the victims fill with tears, but the beast you carry inside has no mercy. Indeed, it feels even more powerful, immense even. But instead, if you looked at yourself in the mirror at that moment, you would see nothing but a small, cowardly dog. A mean man who bites only when he knows he is not in any danger. Now I know the animal you carry inside is not you, and it would have been better if I killed him instead. You taught me every day true courage is taking care of those you love, but I didn't know how to. In the end, when you finally decided to leave me, I couldn't stand your newfound strength, and I couldn't do anything else but shoot you. Then, out of shame, I shot myself straight through the heart, a useless heart, too selfish to appreciate the beauty of life. My doom was sealed from the beginning, and it is eternal solitude. I burned and wasted love, and now I have nothing left.
Thank you very much for being here on this very important date. We are the Fil Rouge Theater, and we would like now to give the voice to a person that every day deal with similar stories as the ones that we have told you tonight.
Thank you. I want to extend a warm and heartfelt thank you to those of you who have read Wounded to Death tonight. You have lent your voices to the woman whose own voices have been silenced, to those whose stories we must not forget. My name is Caroline Kocher, and I work at the Women's Shelter Blenda. Every day, we meet women and children who are subjected to men's violence. Providing support to women to live independent lives and working to ensure that children grow up free from violence is what we do. It's our primary focus. We give support, protect, and work for change. Many women wish that somebody had asked them about the violence. Domestic violence is not a family affair. It is all our responsibility. Last week, I met a woman, and she says that she wished that somebody had asked her about the violence. If you suspect that someone close to you is experiencing violence, don't be afraid to see, ask, and act. It could be your sister, your mother, your daughter, or your neighbor. And if you are unsure what you can do, you can also contact us at Kvinnojouren Blenda here in Växjö for support. So once again, thank you to Le Fil Rouge for your courage, your dedication, and for carrying these stories with respect and power. You have given a voice to all those women who can no longer speak for themselves. And thanks to all of you who are here today. Together we can make a difference. And before I conclude, I would like to light a candle for all the women who have been murdered by a man they are or have been in a relationship with, for all the children who have lost a mother. Thank you.